Chapter 9. Random Encounter. Early morning, the next day. Naruto's apartment. Naruto had a look at his stats as he ate his breakfast. Name: Uzumaki Naruto. Class: The Gamer. Level: 7. Next level: 19.89%. Title: Academy Student plus 25% XP to LV10. Age: 12. HP: 900 900ths. CP: 900 900ths. STR: 18-5. Santa: 38-5, plus 10. Dex: 19-5. Int: 19 plus 5. Whis: 20. Luck. Looking at his stats, Naruto felt a headache coming on. His stats had gone up by quite a bit compared with when he had first looked at them, but his stamina was still far and above the highest, while his strength stat had gone up by only 7. Hadn't he meant to do something about that? Wait a minute, gah. I knew I was forgetting something. The blonde orphan exclaimed. He ran into his bedroom and frantically searched through his clothes before finally finding what he was looking for. The training weights, he declared as he found the box he had bought at Higarashi's the first time. He opened up the lid and saw instructions. Thank you for purchasing the Higurashi Special Training Weights copyright. Naruto read out loud. In order to use these weights to their full potential, please ensure that you wear all 4 simultaneously to ensure equal training on all 4 limbs. Already knew that. Once you place the training weights on, make the rat hand sign, channel chakra into the weights and call out a number from 1 to 5. This sets the weight to predetermined settings for your convenience. Newcomers are recommended to start on level 1 and build up to level 2 gradually. Okay, sounds simple. In order to turn the weights off, make the rat hand sign once again and say, Kai. This will deactivate the weights immediately. Should it not, please bring them to the store for removal and a full refund. Naruto slid one on each of his arms and legs, then made the rat hand sign. 1. He immediately felt like someone had attached lead weights to his arms and legs. Not heavy ones, but very obviously there. You have been affected by the status effect, lesser weighted gravity. An idea occurred to him and he opened up his status screen and put the 5 points from the last level up into STR, making it 23, which helped in lightening the load a bit. Naruto walked around to try to get a feel for how hard it was to move with the weights on. Surprisingly, it was rather manageable, although he was slowed down somewhat. What now? He mused aloud as he sat back down and finished off his breakfast, a bowl of rice and miso soup. The academy wasn't on for the next couple of days, so what to do? Oh, I could train the jutsu Iruka-sensei taught me yesterday. He thought brightly, a smirk on his face as he recalled the trip to Ichiraku's that had shown a new light on the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu and his gamer power. Flashback. A training aid? Naruto asked in surprise as he and Iruka-sensei were waiting for their ramen to be served. Yes, the scarred Chunin nodded. Originally, the Shadow Clone Jutsu was created for scouting purposes. How do you think the clones tell their creator information if only one hit dispels them? Really good life insurance. Naruto joked. Nice one, but no. Iruka replied with a grin. When you create a regular Bunshin, you're just creating an illusion that mimics your shape and appearance. When you create an elemental Bunshin, like your Iwa Bunshin, you're basically forcing chakra into a physical object and shaping it, again, to become a facsimile of you. Shadow clones are entirely made of chakra, to the point that they copy your chakra network and brain as well. In addition, there is a link between the clones and the creator, so when a Kage Bunshin dies, the creator receives a portion of the chakra used to create the back, as well as an entire copy of the clone's memories from the moment it was created to the moment it was destroyed. Naruto gaped at Iruka for a moment. None of that was on the information his gamer power had provided for him. Activating, auto update, system. Working, done. From this point on, any information the gamer learns about any jutsu or skill they possess not already in the basic description provided by the skill window will automatically be added and, should that information increase the chakra cost of the jutsu, that will automatically be adjusted as well. That sound pretty awesome, Iruka-sensei. Naruto said, inwardly gaping at the recent update to his ability. This would rock. It is rather. Iruka agreed, but it is also dangerous. The information overload of as many clones as you made just now could overload your brain, knock you out and possibly cause brain damage if you receive them all at once. Try to only dispel 3 at a time if you can help it, okay? Sure thing. Naruto nodded. Oh boy, here comes my ramen. Flashback end. Naruto opened up his skill window and then the window for the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu instant LV1, 0-100. The Nadaime Hokage's Shadow Clone Jutsu is one of his most widely known jutsu and was originally created for scouting dangerous locations. All clones possess the same physical capabilities as the original, are equipped as the original and can also use any jutsu known to the original. All memories of the clones are transferred to the user upon their destruction, as well as a tithe of the chakra used to create them. The downsides to this technique are twofold. First, it is very chakra intensive, meaning only the more powerful high Chunin and Jonin can make use of this technique. Secondly, it only takes a single solid hit to dispel the clone, making it impractical as a genuine combat technique. Owing to your exceptionally dense chakra as in Uzumaki, the CP cost of each clone is reduced by 75%. Additionally, you receive 10% of the chakra from each clone once it is destroyed. Hand sign. Clone hand sign. Initial cost for each shadow clone, 400 CP. Adjusted cost for each shadow clone, 100 CP. Chakra recovered after clone destruction per clone, 10 CP. Holy crap. Naruto gaped, now I can only make 9 of them. This sucks. I need to learn chakra control. The only skill he had to do with that was the tree climbing exercised skill, but that didn't actually apply the chakra control to his chakra from what he recalled. So, a chakra control skill. How the heck do I make a skill like that? Naruto shouted, tugging at his hair with both hands, forget it. I'll practice with my Kodachi and Tanto. Thank Kami Tenten sold me these things. Heading to the dojo room, Naruto grabbed his practice weapons and examined them with observe. Tenten's well-crafted practice Kodachi. Practice weapon. Made by Higurashi Tenten, a kunoichi, this weapon has perfect balance and simulates the weight of a standard Kodachi perfectly. While not intended for actual combat, as the blade and point are blunt, this weapon can be used to protect yourself. Durability, 60/60ths. Bludgeoning damage, STR plus 1/5. Tenten's well-crafted practice Tanto. Practice weapon pair. Made by Higurashi Tenten, a kunoichi, these weapons have perfect balance and simulate the weight of a standard Hira blade Tanto perfectly. While not intended for actual combat, as the edges and points are blunt, these weapons can be used to protect yourself. Durability, 45/45ths. Bludgeoning damage, STR plus 5. Man, Tenten has awesome skills to make these. He muttered incredulously. Deciding that as he would be getting his Tanto first, he would train with the two practice Tanto first as well. Putting the Kodachi to one side, Naruto held the practice Tanto in his hands as if to test their weight. Not as heavy as I'd been expecting, he muttered. Now then, how does someone fight with two blades? He tried out a variety of arm positions, but none felt right. In the end, he held both in a reversed grip and it finally felt something like correct. Creating some Iwa Bunshin, Naruto sparred against them, finding that he was learning how to be comfortable with their weight in his hands as well as how best to swing and stab with the Tanto. Eventually, as a result of repeated actions, the skilled self-taught Nito Ryu Tanto Kenjutsu has been created. Self-taught Nito Ryu Tanto Kenjutsu Level 1, 0-100 active and passive. Nito Ryu is the art of using a sword in both hands in order to fight. It is an aggressive style, relying on speed and dexterity to dodge the attacks of the enemy. Most people use set styles to fight with, but you have created your own. At the very least, it will stop you from cutting yourself while you wield your weapons. In addition, Tanto are designed to be used in very close proximity with the enemy, requiring highly advanced dodging and evasion skills to remain unharmed. Passively increases STR by 1%. Passively increases dex by 2%. Actively increases damage with Tanto-type weapons by 3%. Nice. Naruto grinned. Oh. Feel the burn. STR has gone up by 1. That was quick. Man, these things are effective. Naruto grinned again. Dunno why more people don't use these. UUUUUTTTTHHHH. Naruto cocked his head to one side as he could have sworn that he heard someone shouting even more obnoxiously than he ever had. Shrugging, he returned to his training, this time taking up the Kodachi. Shorter than a katana, but longer than a wakizashi, Kodachi were seen as difficult to use, Naruto knew, thanks to Iruka-sensei's lecture the previous day regarding his chosen weapons. Kodachi were viewed with slight scorn and were seen entirely as a defensive weapon, earning it the name of the shield sword to those who practiced swordplay. However, Iruka-sensei had gone on to say, that was precisely why using it to attack with would be effective, as nobody would expect Naruto to do more than buy time while wielding his Kodachi. Acting in an unexpected manner was what Naruto did best, after all. After some training, during which he learned that being hit by the sword bouncing off the walls and onto his ankle was very, very painful, the gamer came through for him once more. Self-taught Kodachi Kenjutsu Level 1, 0-100 passive and active. Kenjutsu, the art of the sword for the purpose of battle, is an ancient art dating back centuries. Most people use a formal style, but you have created your own. At the very least, you will not cut your foot off while wielding your sword. Kodachi are defense-oriented weapons, so you gain +1 int while wielding a Kodachi to reflect the superior defenses you possess. Passively increases STR by 2%. Passively increases dex by 2%. Actively increases damage dealt by Kodachi-type weapons by 5%. Ellipsis. Why do all of them imply that I'm clumsy? Naruto growled. Seriously, every self-taught style he came up with made it sound like he had 2 left feet and was drunk as a lord on top of it all. Whatever. He muttered and destroyed his protesting Iwa Bunshin with his Kodachi. Time to work on his calligraphy. After he cleaned and stored his practice weapons, Naruto trotted back up to his rooms and settled down to start working when an idea occurred to him. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. He commanded after he made the clone hand sign. 4 clones appeared in an explosion of chakra smoke and his CP dropped by almost half. Right. Let's get practicing, he ordered. Right. His clones echoed back at him and went to get some extra calligraphy supplies from his stock. It was a surprised Iruka who came and walked in on 5 Naruto clones working feverishly at his calligraphy. The scarred Chunin just looked for a minute as Naruto, one of them anyway, looked up and saw him. Ah, Iruka-sensei. The Naruto declared. Hey there. Iruka greeted the group in amusement. Which of you is the original Naruto? That'd be me. All of them declared at once, before they glared at each other. Who's the original? I am, damn you. One Naruto declared. Like hell. I am. Another retorted. Oh, now it's on. Much to Iruka's amusement, the 5 Narutos then got into a fistfight, ending with 4 of them vanishing, leaving the original looking irritated. Damn mouthy clones, he muttered, are they supposed to do that? Act all mouthy and everything. It depends on the amount of chakra you put in them. Iruka replied with a chuckle, unlike elemental clones, which have a fixed amount of chakra that they need to be created, as well as a limit to how much each clone can have before the material becomes full to bursting and collapses. Shadow clones become a closer copy of the original as more chakra is spent on them, meaning they can even have personalities and be capable of independent thought if you invest enough chakra into them. Huh, Naruto looked thoughtful at this. Anyway, what's with the calligraphy? The Chunin sensei asked. Oh, it's so I can start learning Fuinjutsu. Naruto said with a grin, I found out that the Uzumaki clan was famous for their ability to use seals, so I thought I'd learn it too. So you decided on learning calligraphy. Smart. Uruka said, let's see, huh. Not bad. A little more and you'll be ready to try your hand at basic storage scrolls. Yada. Naruto cheered, before remembering something. Oh yeah, did you need? Am I not allowed to visit one of my students? Uruka feigned hurt. Ah, no, that's not it. Naruto denied quickly. Just having you on Naruto. Uruka ruffled the boy's hair. I came to see how you were doing. Just training. Naruto shrugged. It isn't like I have anything better to do. Uruka nodded sympathetically. I see. Why don't you go to the library and borrow some books? The old lady at the library won't let me in. Naruto said glumly, and you need a library card to borrow anything, so I can't just henge into someone to borrow some. You sound like you've done that before. Uruka observed. When I went to get calligraphy supplies, I henged into you. Naruto muttered. That's odd. Uruka frowned. That did explain why the owner of the shop was surprised by him buying more, but there should be anti-genjutsu seals at the entrance to each store. No one should be able to enter them without the henge collapsing. Naruto blinked at this. That meant, oh, his henge wasn't just an illusion, it was solid. He'd forgotten about that. Maybe the seals need checked. He said with a shrug. Maybe. Uruka wasn't convinced, but he let it go. If Naruto had to use the transformation jutsu just to buy basic supplies, then there was no point scolding him for it. Perhaps a word with the Hokage was in order though. Naruto had obviously gotten so used to this kind of treatment that it was no longer something he noticed anymore. I'll have a word with Hokage-sama about the librarian, he said instead. That attitude isn't one that someone in charge of the civilian side of the library should have. The Konohagakure library was divided into two levels. One had the civilian library, with basic reading from fiction to non-fiction, as well as many copies of the Academy 3 Jutsu for those who wished to study them. The other was the shinobi section, which held copies of non-clan ninjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu and genjutsu. A lot of them came from the archives of the Uchiha clan after they were massacred, from various enemy shinobi they had used their Sharingan on. The only way into the library was from a staircase guarded by two chunin and it led down under the civilian library. Naruto would be graduating in a few months' time and having access to the library was vital for both before and after the graduation. Okay. Naruto nodded. In the meantime, why don't you go and investigate the next area of training field 13? The scarred chunin suggested. I get the feeling that the chakra mutations are stronger there, so I'm planning on waiting until I get my tanto before trying there. Naruto replied seriously. Caution. From Naruto. He's matured. Uruka thought proudly. A couple of months ago, Naruto would have gotten himself into trouble by running headfirst into danger without a second thought. In that case, scour the areas you've already cleared for weapons and the like. He suggested. You found Toradora in one of the areas by happenstance, right? Now that you've eliminated the mutants in the first two areas, you can search to your heart's content for any kunai, shuriken and the like that might be there. I doubt you'll be lucky enough to find another regular weapon, but you never know. Awesome. I never thought about it like that. Naruto exclaimed. Thanks Uruka-sensei. No problem Naruto. Uruka replied. No problem at all. Later. Sub-Area 1, Training Field 13. Naruto was quite pleased with himself. Thanks to his use of shadow clones, he had reached level 7 in calligraphy already, in addition to creating self-taught Nito Ryu Tanto Kenjutsu and self-taught Kodachi Kenjutsu. His Kage Bunshin no Jutsu had even leveled up once he beat the crap out of the 4 clones and dispelled them. If Naruto was any judge, with shadow clones, the longer they existed, the more experience he gained in the skill. He had no idea exactly how much express was made per minute or hour, but it had been enough to get his level 1 skill up to level 2. Maybe the 20-odd clones that he made yesterday had something to do with it. So creating and maintaining the clone dispersing and the chakra and memory return function all had something to do with how much experience Kage Bunshin no Jutsu received. Sounds like a theory. Still, what the heck? He muttered as he looked around the sub-area. It looked exactly the same as before, except, less intimidating. There wasn't that odd sensation that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. Observe has leveled up. Ignoring that his observed skill had leveled up to level 9, Naruto made several Iwa Bunshin and equipped them with Gansetsuken. Okay you guys. He called out to them, spread out and find any weapons, chests or whatever looks like it doesn't belong here. Shout out if you find something. Got it, boss. The clones chorused back at him. At least Iwa Bunshin don't talk back if you give them orders. Naruto thought in relief. For the next few minutes, all was well. Occasionally, a clone discovered a shuriken or a kunai and they were placed in Naruto's inventory. Then, warning, random encounter initiated. What the, whoa, Naruto exclaimed as the scenery around him blurred and he was in the middle of the sub-area, where he had fought the berserk fox squirrel. He was accompanied by his confused and bewildered Iwa Bunshin in short order. In areas not full of chakra mutations, the random encounter system is active. This can go off at any time and will drag you and any members of your party, including clones, into the random encounter zone which you may only leave if you either defeat the enemy or use the escape skill. Have fun. I'll show you. Have fun. You. Naruto muttered, but got distracted by a puppet appearing in front. It was about his height and had no face. It didn't look like a marionette or a bunraku puppet. What the heck was it? Possessed Mokujin. Level 8. A tree that has been possessed by a lingering evil chakra. It has transformed into a Mokujin and will relentlessly attack any who go near it. Probably the residual chakra of the Kyubi no Kitsune from the field boss. Naruto though darkly. Leaving the chakra out here was a bad idea. He should have done something before, and now there was a possessed tree on his case. Time to fell this tree. He declared, attack. With a roar, his Iwa Bunshin squad charged the possessed Mokujin which chattered a series of wooden clicks before counter-charging, very slowly. Naruto stayed at the back and lent support to his Iwa Bunshin with his Hiko Yoshin Shurikenjutsu, and occasionally his futon, Kaden Shuriken no Jutsu, as well. The Mokujin was slow, but had a ridiculously high defense. The Gansetsouken couldn't cut it and the punches were about as effective as bad language against it. Ditto for the kunai and shuriken. Use Doden, Dongan no Jutsu, on it. Naruto ordered. That was the heaviest hitting jutsu in his repertoire and this thing was slow enough that it had a good chance of being crushed by the rock missile. Two Iwa Bunshin fell back and made the two-hand signs that were for the earth jutsu before slamming their hands on the ground before them and calling out, Doden, Dongan no Jutsu. Two large menhir erupted from the ground and sailed through the air to smash into the Mokujin with the sound of splitting and splintering wood. The two Iwa Bunshin crumbled into dust as they had used the last of their chakra. Possessed Mokujin defeated. You gain 125 express. Phew, Naruto had to wipe his brow at the defeat of the Mokujin. He wandered up as the body crumbled away, revealing a Bakuto. Naruto had to blurt out. It was indeed a wooden sword, designed for training with swords. He observed it. High-quality Bakken. Training weapon. A wooden sword, carved from wood to train in swordplay. Sturdy as it is not really meant for combat situations outside of Randori, but in an emergency situation, it can be turned to a weapon of last resort for self-defense. Bludgeoning damage. S+10. Huh, not bad. Naruto commented as he deposited it in his inventory. He then found himself standing back where he had been before the random encounter, which was more disorientating than a side-along shunshin. In the next half hour, he got dragged into 3 more fights with possessed Mokujin and came away with another high-quality Bakken, a wooden charm that added 1 to his stamina, not that he needed it, and a pair of wooden gourds. The last one was confusing, until he realized that if he could find a cork stopped, he had a pair of homemade water bottles, which would save him a bit of money. Now, where to find corks? The constant use of the Doden, Dongan no Jutsu, had leveled it up to level 3, just as the constant use of Doden ninjutsu had leveled up his secondary earth affinity, and Doden, Iwa Bunshin no Jutsu, as well. The haul from the weapons search had yielded 10 kunai, 9 of which were good enough to be added to his stores, 12 shuriken, all of which were in good condition, and 1 chest. Upon opening the chest, Naruto discovered his scroll for a Fuinjutsu. Fuinjutsu, Kiji Boe, he read off of the window that appeared, sealing jutsu, cloth defense. What the heck, meh, I can't use it yet, so into my inventory it goes. As he did so, he was dragged into yet another random encounter. What now? Naruto exclaimed as he and his replenished Iwa Bunshin replacing them was a pain faced against what had to be a supersized Mokujin. It was twice the height and breadth of Choji's dad. Possessed Elder Mokujin. Level 12. A tree that was over 100 years old was infected with an evil chakra, turning it into an Elder Mokujin. Its strength is far greater than that of the regular Mokujin. Dongan Barrage, now. Naruto ordered hurriedly. This was not something he had expected. Why was a boss character showing up here and now? All 8 of his Iwa Bunshin sent out a broadside of Dongan at the Elder Mokujin, but it just walked forwards, smashing them out of the air like they were pebbles. Shit, it ain't working, boss. One Iwa Bunshin shouted. 4 of you get into close combat and keep its arms occupied. Naruto ordered, the rest of you attack with the Dongan again when the others have it distracted. The clones followed his orders. 4 of them created Gansetsouken and raced to distract the Mokujin up close and personal, while Naruto and the other 4 made ready to attack with the rock bullet jutsu. The Mokujin chattered a series of rattling wooden clicks and swung a large arm at the Iwa Bunshin, who dodged around it and started attacking the legs and what part of the torso they could reach with their staves. As the wooden monster smashed down in an attempt to smash the clones, Naruto and the others sent 5 Dongan at it, smashing into the sides of the Mokujin one after another and sending it crashing to the ground. Immediately, the Iwa Bunshin clambered upon it and started stabbing it on the head and upper torso with kunai and Gansetsouken. Spread out and surround it. Naruto ordered. The reason why it had blocked all of the first barrage was that they all came from the same direction. Once the thing got up, it wouldn't have it so easy. As predicted, the Elder Mokujin wasn't finished just yet and stood up, the Iwa Bunshin tumbling off like specks of dirt and crumbling to pieces on impact with the ground. Now, Naruto ordered and 5 Earthmen here ripped free of the ground and tore through the air at the Elder Mokujin from 5 different directions. The wooden monster was smashed to pieces and scattered all over the area, letting Naruto breathe a sigh of relief. Then, boss, it's multiplying, one clone shouted. Sure enough, 3 regular possessed Mokujin sprouted from the smashed remains of the defeated possessed Elder Mokujin. Oh, for the love of ramen. Naruto grumbled. Ludicrously high defense, high strength and the ability to spawn lesser versions of itself once defeated. Smash them. He ordered his clones, which they had done with gusto. Now that they knew how to defeat them, even multiple possessed Mokujin were not match for Naruto and his clones. In short order, the 3 wooden monsters were kindling. Possessed Elder Mokujin defeated. You gain 1200 express. Possessed Mokujin x3 defeated. You gain 300 express. All chakra saturation in sub-area 1 cleared. You gain 500 express. You have gained a level. LV7 LV8. You have 5 attribute points to spend. Secondary Earth Affinity has leveled up. LV4 LV5. Doden, Dongan no Jutsu has leveled up. LV3 LV4. Doden, Iwa Bunshin no Jutsu has leveled up. LV4 LV5. Sweet, he commented. That one big Mokujin netted him as much express as Mogura Wagura had. The corpses of the 3 possessed Mokujin dissolved to reveal 3 more high-quality Bakken and about 1,000 Ryo altogether. The possessed Elder Mokujin dissolved to show a single Bakken, but not a regular one. It glowed with a golden light. Golden Bakken of Fortune. Training weapon. A wooden sword carved from a Shinboku sacred tree and blessed by a priest. Its divine aura repels lesser demons and brings good fortune to the one who wields it. Reduces random encounters from lesser demonic or lesser yokai enemies by 100%. Increases luck by 25.
Durability. 35 35ths bludgeoning damage. STR plus 1-5. Huh? Guess that's a useful thing to have. Naruto commented as he put it away. As he warped back to Sub-Area 1, he debated about whether to go on to Sub-Area 2. He decided against it as he was hungry. And he was low on chakra. That's that for today then. He muttered and headed out of the training ground.
Chapter 10. Blades and Shadows. 1 month later. Higarashi's weapon shop. Whoa, Naruto said in awe. He was looking at the pair of tanto lying on the counter of the shop. The blades shone brightly in the light reflected from the illumination provided by the lamps. The blades were simple, but the distinctive ripple along the edge, the hamon, spoke of blades produced by a master smith. The blades had obviously had a horomonashi at them, as one had a flower pattern engraved that looked like camellias and the other had patterns that looked like violets. I see you noticed the engravings. Higurashi Tatsuhiko observed with a smile. That's Kanae's work. She's really good at that sort of fine detail work. Ordinarily, we would let you name them and then engrave a horimono to match it, but with these, we named them for you. This one is Tsubaki and this one is Sumaire. In Henkotoba, Sumaire means honesty and Tsubaki, when they're red, means perishing with grace. Cool, Naruto said. He meant it. The hilts of the blades were wrapped in colored tsukamaki bearing their respective colors, while the small Tsuba had more fine engraving work on them. Now Naruto-kun, are you sure that you want to give us most of the remaining chakra? He asked with a look of concern. Before Naruto could answer, a box popped up. Karmic choice. This question will determine the end result of your relationship with the Higurashi family. Choose carefully, because words once spoken cannot be taken back. Choice 1 righteous, sure. It's yours. Immediate advancement to honored reputation with Higurashi weapons and apparels Higurashi Kanae and Higurashi Tatsuhiko. Advancement to well-liked reputation with Higurashi Tenten. Choice 2 pragmatic, on second thought, no. I might need it. -50 relationship with all Higurashi family members, receive all remaining chakra metal. The choice, for Naruto, was obvious. Sure thing, Naruto said with a nod, you might need it for something for the village. Righteous choice made. +10 to righteous alignment. Title, Righteous Acolyte obtained. Guide updated. Titles and alignment added. Received Tanto, Sumaire. Received Tanto, Tsubaki. That's very good of you Naruto-kun. Tatsuhiko boomed with a smile, I can't thank you enough. Take these as a token of gratitude. Reaching under the counter, the blacksmith pulled out a set of black fingerless gloves with metal over the back of the hand. The emblem of the hidden leaf was engraved on the metal and it shone as if it had just been freshly polished. Which was actually very likely. Wow, thanks, the blonde boy said in awe. Ha ha, no problem. The man grinned. Now, in addition to the blades, I can give you a set of sheets for them. How do you want to carry them? At the small of my back. Naruto replied, miming drawing the blades from that location. I see. Tatsuhiko nodded seriously, I think I have what you're looking for over here. He walked over, grabbed a set of sheets for a nearby rack, and brought them back to show the boy. They were plain black and had built-in sharpening stones. What was special about them was that they were designed to be able to be crossed over one another and secured tightly. These will serve you well. Tatsuhiko said as he carefully sheathed each blade into each sheath, I'll give you a care package as well, whetstones, cloths and a manual on how to sharpen your blades. Saying so, he placed all of the above-mentioned items, plus the tanto, into a storage scroll and handed it to Naruto. Remember, you aren't allowed to carry weapons openly until you become a genin, the man cautioned Naruto sternly. Hi. Naruto accepted the scroll carefully and put it into his pocket. Wanted to ask you something about your kodachi. Tatsuhiko said gruffly, now, I can do a standard design, or I can alter it somewhat. Alter it how? Naruto asked. For example, adding an edge on the flat of the blade, about 5 inches long near the tip. The blacksmith replied, drawing a display kodachi and gesturing at where he meant. Not many blades are double-edged, especially not kodachi, so it'll be a nasty surprise for anyone you cross blades with. I could also make the hilt extra long and add a kaken into it for emergencies. Hidden arrays to store weapons, there's a lot of things I could do if you want me to. As for payment, the chakra metal you've given my family means that the sky's the limit. The blonde boy was stumped as he thought about it. He really had no idea about what he wanted for his blade. Being given basically a free hand to customize it with no limit on his finances was such a novelty that he had not expected it. Can I leave it up to you to decide? Naruto asked. I really have no idea what to choose. Tatsuhiko nodded understandingly. That's fine. I have the metal heating up in the back right now, so I'll get started on it right away. Is there anything else you want to buy before I get started? 3 standard sets of shuriken. Naruto replied, I ran out the other day. Still clearing out training ground 13, Tatsuhiko asked as he grabbed the requested items, how far are you in? Still just the first 2 sub-areas. Naruto scowled, I go away for 2 days and the chakra mutations reappear. It's gotten to the point that it's ridiculous. But I didn't want to try my luck further in until I had some proper weapons. He patted the scroll meaningfully and the blacksmith nodded approvingly. Always know when you might be in over your head. A good trait for a shinobi to have. He said, as for the resurgence of the chakra mutations, it's because the chakra saturation seeps back into the area from the rest after a short while if cleared. You're going to have to kill all of the chakra mutations in all of the areas before the saturation will be removed completely. Something to work towards. Naruto said with a shrug as he pulled on his new gloves, these look kick-ass. Thanks, Tatsuoji-san. No problem. He chuckled, now I'd better get back to my forge. I'll let Ten-chan know you were here. She's going to be thrilled about the chakra metal. I'm going to make her a katana out of some of it. Glad to help. Naruto grinned, see ya later. As the blonde boy trotted off, Tatsuhiko chuckled. He really was just like his mother. Heading to his forge, he watched as Kanae worked the bellows. I take it he liked the Tonto. She said without missing a beat. Yep, he even reaffirmed that we can keep the excess chakra metal. Tatsuhiko replied, he also left exactly what to do with his kodachi up to me. The poor boy looked stunned at the idea that I would let him tell me what to do with his sword. This village has a lot to answer for. Kanae grunted as she fanned the flame higher. So what are you gonna do? Remember the plans I've been refining for Ten-chan's sword? He asked. I was thinking about using Naruto-kun's weapon as a beta test for it. Is that wise? His wife asked as she paused to check the forge, or ethical. Nothing will go wrong, Tatsuhiko assured her. I've worked things out so all the additions and modifications come together smoothly. I've already done an alpha test with regular weapon grade Tamahagane and, aside from some minor issues that I've fixed, it turned out pretty damn good. Yes, but that was a katana, not a kodachi. Kanae pointed out reasonably. A few calculations and minor adjustments and it'll be fine. Tatsuhiko said firmly, Kodachi is pretty much the same as a katana, aside from being slightly smaller. It won't be hard to adjust for that. If you are certain, Kanae sighed, you start hammering the metal out, and I'll have a look over your plans. Yes dear, Tatsuhiko said, they're in my planning office. Later. Naruto's apartment. Naruto used observe on his new equipment as soon as he finished his lunch. Konoha battle gloves black. High-quality gloves used by Chunin rank shinobi and higher in Konohagakure. Offering protection for the knuckles in taijutsu and protection for the back of the hand to block weapons, they are emblazoned with the leaf of Konohagakure. Def plus 1-5. Durability, 50-50. Sumayer. A tanto crafted by master blacksmith Higurashi Tatsuhiko, the blade has been engraved by a Horomanashi with violets. Made of chakra metal, which is stronger than steel and is able to channel chakra through it naturally, it is a very good weapon. LV-15. Short weapon, mastercrafted, chakra weapon. Durability, 95/95. Piercing damage, S plus 10. Slashing damage, S plus 25. Bludgeoning damage, S plus 1. Tsubaki. A tanto crafted by master blacksmith Higurashi, the blade has been engraved by a Horomanashi with camellias. Made of chakra metal, which is stronger than steel and is able to channel chakra through it naturally, it is a very good weapon. LV-15. Short weapon, mastercrafted, chakra weapon. Durability, 95/95. Piercing damage, S plus 10. Slashing damage, S plus 25. Bludgeoning damage, S plus 1. Nice, Naruto whistled, wonder what being mastercrafted does to the blades. When he tapped the word, another screen popped up. Mastercrafted. Items that have been mastercrafted have been carved, forged, built or otherwise created by a master craftsman at the peak of their skill. As such, all mastercrafted items receive a bonus towards a random stat. Do you wish to have all such bonuses shown? YN. Obviously. Naruto muttered. He hit Y and looked at Sumayer and Tsubaki's screens again. Tsubaki received a plus 10 bonus to piercing damage, while Sumayer got plus 15 to slashing damage. Naruto felt a bit giddy. These weapons would make his life so much easier when it came to clearing out training ground 13. Now then, where am I at? He muttered and checked his status. Name, Uzumaki Naruto. Class, the gamer. Level, 12 next level, 30.84%. Title, Academy student plus 25% XP to LV10. Age, 12. HP, 1500. CP, 1500. STR, 39. Santa, 44 plus 10. Dex, 30. Int, 30. Wis, 34. Luck. His stats were, pardon the lack of modesty, pretty damn good in his opinion. He had finally gotten rid of the malnourished status, which had added the missing 5 points to all his physical stats. He had also raised his int and wis by quite a bit, which was nice. His weights were on level 2 now as he had adjusted after the last month and they were no longer a burden at level 1. As for his skills, he had trained hard and all of his self-taught styles were at level 10, at which point they had hit was his ability classed as a level cap, meaning they couldn't go any higher. The same had applied to his basic Hokage Taijutsu, but he had solved that problem by absorbing the intermediate Hokage Taijutsu book. The self-taught styles were more problematic. Sure, the Bojutsu wasn't as important, but the Nito Ryu Tanto style and the Kodachi Kenjutsu style were. Uruka-sensei had said he would have a look in the shinobi section of the library, but that still meant he couldn't improve them yet. And graduation was 6 whole months away. On a more positive side of things, thanks to the drops made by the Mokujin in Sub-Area 1 and the Ninmenju in Sub-Area 2, he had a healthy stock of Bakken, practice dummies and practice spears. A big downer was that, once he had passed level 10, he no longer received the 25% extra express that his Academy student title had granted him, which made leveling up somewhat tedious. Come to think of it, didn't I get a new title earlier on? Naruto thought with a frown. He opened the titles section and winced, as it was row upon row of question marks. Scrolling down, the boy spotted 2 titles that he had access to. Academy student grants 25% extra express while under LV10. Signifies the bearer is a student at a shinobi academy. Only removable at graduation. Righteous Acolyte increases ninjutsu power by 1% while possessing more than 0, but less than 100, righteous alignment. Signifies that the bearer has taken the first step down a righteous path. This sucks ass, Naruto pouted. He then decided to find out what this alignment business was all about by checking the guide. Alignment in you. Alignment is your moral and ethical perspective. Basically, if you act in a moral fashion, you can be considered lawful or good, whereas if you act in an amoral fashion, you can be considered unlawful or evil. Your words and actions influence which alignment you go down. Unlike in other worlds, you, Uzumaki Naruto, reside in a world where nothing is cut and dried. Morality is very much in flux, especially for shinobi. To represent this, there are various different paths of alignment that you can go down simultaneously. Very few paths exclude the ability to travel down others until very far down a path, but there are those that preclude another path immediately. The various alignment paths you discover will be added here as and when you find them, not before. Righteous, this path has also been known as paragon, lawful good and various other epithets of a similar nature. One who strides down this path is one who will try to do what is right, regardless of the cost to themselves. Current alignment, 10/1000. Pragmatic, known as neutral or unaligned in various universes, one who follows this path follows an expedient path. They will act in the most grounded fashion possible, saving only those who they feel can be saved and not trying for more. Current alignment, 0/1000. Huh, Naruto said with a shrug. He personally didn't think he suited either of those stances completely. He also felt mildly offended that his ability was trying to compartmentalize him. Moving on, new skill. Naruto grinned as he closed the window and grabbed the book regarding weapons care and maintenance. You have acquired that to the point and along the edged skill book. Do you wish to learn this? Hell yes. Naruto grinned as he hit the appropriate button and watched the book dissolve into blue light and enter him. Edged weapon maintenance LV1, 000. Having a sword or dagger is all very fine and dandy, but if it's blunt as a stick, you'd be better off with a club. This skill allows you to oil, sharpen and otherwise maintain any edged weapon, from a cake into the head of a spear. It also grants a buff to any weapon you treat with this skill. Sharpens a weapon for 2 days. Grants +5 to piercing and slashing attacks for the duration of the sharpening. Restores 5 durability for each sharpening, oiling, and maintenance action carried out on edged weapons. Requires weapon maintenance materials to use. Kick ass, Naruto declared. If this skill was this good at level 1, he couldn't wait to see what the higher levels were like. Heading down to the training room, Naruto pulled a practice dummy out of his inventory. It was one of the common drops he received for killing ninmenju, the human-faced trees, and their weaker spawns, ninmenka, the human-faced fruit. The dummies were basic wooden human shapes and were actually meant for taijutsu practice, but as Naruto had 50 of the things in his inventory, he could spare one for training how to infuse his blades with chakra. Drawing his weapons from their sheaths, Naruto closed his eyes and focused. He tried to guide his chakra into the blades, but was stymied by an uncomfortable feeling. Frowning, he tried again, this time being a bit more forceful, thrusting the chakra into the tanto he held. You're doing it wrong, a voice said from behind him. Naruto jumped and whirled around. A bearded man in a standard Jonin's outfit and a sash with the kanji for fire around his waist stood leaning against the doorframe. The smoking guardian. LV. Sarutobi Asuma. Asen, who are you? Naruto asked, keeping up the facade that he didn't know who the man was. The name Sarutobi Asuma, kid, the bearded man said, my old man sent me over here today to teach you how to use those blades properly. You're Gigi's son? Naruto asked, you do look a lot alike. That made Asuma guffaw loudly. Ha, does he know you call him Gigi? Yup, he seems to find it refreshing. Naruto replied with a grin. I'll bet. The Jonin grinned back, Oyaji told me that your primary affinity is futon, right? That's my primary affinity as well and I use the same jutsu you were trying there with my trench knives. He took an odd-looking knife from his rear shuriken pouch and held it up. Seen from the side, it resembled a fang, with holes for the fingers and the wickedly sharp blade was made more dangerous by the serrated section just in front of the finger holes. Naruto was curious and used, observe, on it. Trench knife. A mastercrafted blade forged by Higurashi Tatsuhiko in his youth, this blade has seen wear, tear and blood through the years and has never failed its wielder. Used in a pair. Durability, 150 150ths. Knuckle duster, short weapon, mastercrafted, chakra metal weapon, paired weapon. Piercing damage, S+10. Slashing damage, S+15. Bludgeoning damage, S+15. That looks dangerous, the blonde boy observed. It can be. Asuma agreed, watch what happens now. Suddenly, a blue aura enveloped the blade and Naruto's hearing could pick up a faint noise, a mild shrieking sound. That's the sound of 2 opposing chakra currents grinding together, sharpening each other to form the blade. Asuma explained. He stepped over to the practice dummy and slashed it diagonally with his trench knife, the top half sliding off the lower half a few seconds later. Whoa! Naruto exclaimed with shock. Wind is known as the war element. Asuma said as he released the jutsu, in my opinion, it is the best mix of offense and defense at short to mid-range, especially when you use the chakra nagashi no jutsu, chakra flow jutsu, in a bladed weapon. What was your secondary element? Earth. Ah. Well, from what I've gathered, using chakra nagashi with Doden chakra ups the durability and hardness of the weapon to ridiculous levels. Asuma nodded. One guy the first saw used it to smash his opponent's weapon into smithereens with one blow. Again, whoa. Naruto said with wide eyes. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Asuma said modestly, now try to do as I described with your tanto. Imagine in your mind 2 streams of chakra colliding with each other, sharpening themselves into one single blade that covers the entirety of your blades, but not the hilts. Nodding, Naruto closed his eyes and focused on what Asuma had told him. He imagined his chakra reaching down, 2 channels per weapon, wrapping around the blades of the tanto and clashing into each other, forming a blade along the edge of the weapons. You've got it, Asuma said proudly. Naruto opened his eyes and saw that both tanto were covered in the blue chakra of the chakra nagashi no jutsu. He swiped them at the remains of the dummy, cleaving it into 3 pieces. Damn, this is lethal, he said in disbelief. Naruto ignored the numerous screens that had popped up around him, saving them until he was alone. Yep, so not using it unless you're out on a mission outside the village. Asuma said sternly. Naruto nodded as he ended the jutsu, returning his tanto to normal blades. Mind if I have a look at your weapons? Asuma asked. Ah, sure. Naruto nodded. He flipped the weapons around so that the hilts were facing the Jonin and offered them to him. Asuma took them carefully and examined them with an experienced eye. Looks like old Tatsuhiko outdid himself with these beauties, the bearded man observed. They're almost as good as my trench knives. Tatsuhiko works best when he's creating unique weapons, but even these are top quality. Carefully, he slid the blades back into their sheaths and handed them back to Naruto. Thanks, Naruto said, why'd you teach me? Active duty shinobi aren't allowed to teach academy students. This made Asuma smirk slightly. Ah, but there's the thing. I am a former member of the 12 Guardian Ninja, a group of shinobi who are the shinobi guard of the Fire Daimyo. I finished my tour of duty with them last week and arrived here 2 days ago. Oyaji gave me a month off before I have to officially return to active duty, and as I need an apartment, he suggested seeing the landlord of the Amekage apartments, one Uzumaki Naruto. Sound familiar? It certainly did. The official story was that the Hokage had purchased this building and had assigned one of the apartments to Naruto. What was actually the truth was that Naruto was a part owner of the building, and the Hokage was the other. Sarutobi handled the paperwork, while Naruto was the on-site landlord. Okay. Do you want an apartment here, Asuma-sensei? Naruto asked, and if so, is there anything you look for in an apartment? I would like a place with a view of the Hokage monument, if at all possible. Asuma replied. Ah, got just the place for you. Naruto smirked, follow me. Resealing his tanto into the scroll and pocketing it, Naruto led the younger Sarutobi to a room on the opposite side of the building and 1 floor down from Naruto's own apartment. It was just as big as Naruto's own apartment and had a very good view of the Hokage monument. Nice. Asuma said with an appreciative look around the room, which was clean as a whistle. I was expecting the place to look messy and dusty, but it isn't. I can use the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, so I have them cleaning the place while I'm away at the academy. Naruto explained. Doing so had helped to raise the level of his shadow clones by quite a bit. The Iwa Bunshin, not so much, as they crumbled to pieces if Naruto moved more than a block away from them. Still useful when he was closer than that though. He had also developed the skill housework because of it. Combining the experience of all his clones had raised him to level 2, on the second day. His current level with housework was level 10, and it showed no signs of slowing down either. Good tactic. Asuma said approvingly, well, now we need to talk money. Most places charge monthly rent, as I'm sure you know. Naruto nodded glumly. He had paid over 2,000 ryo a month for his former shitty apartment, when the place had only been worth less than half of that. Considering how this place is in pretty good nick considering it was left alone for so long, how does 2,000 a month sound? Asuma asked. That's as much as I paid my old landlord. Naruto exclaimed. For that place. Asuma sounded slightly incredulous. Pops told me about it. You shouldn't have paid more than 1,200 ryo a month. Meh, I'm used to it. Naruto shrugged indifferently. Anyway, 2,000 ryo sounds good. Shake on it. The two shook hands and sealed the deal. I'm having dinner with the Sarutobi clan tonight, my official, welcome back, party. Asuma informed Naruto, I'll have my brother, Asahi, draw up a rental agreement afterwards and bring it with me so we can sign it tomorrow. The Jonin looked around the empty room again. By the way, what happened to the furniture? It was either taken when the entrance to Anbu HQ was moved or left to rot. Naruto grimaced at the memories his clones had given him of the furniture that had been left. I've had to throw them all out. I would go furniture shopping to replace them, but the likelihood that anyone would be willing to sell me anything isn't high. Asuma frowned at that. You aren't required to provide furniture for a tenant, Naruto, he informed the blonde. All that's required is that the water and power be working properly and that the apartment is in good condition. Gigi told me the water works in all apartments and the power works. All I have to do is go down to the basement and turn it on. Naruto supplied. When'll you want to move in? I'm staying at the Sarutobi compound at the moment, but I'll have to move out in 3 days. Asuma replied. That okay with you? Sure. I'll turn the power and water on the day before and get everything sorted. Naruto nodded. Okay then. See you later, Yanushi-san. Asuma nodded politely at Naruto before departing. As Naruto walked back to his apartment, he mused at how odd it felt to be called a landlord. He immediately resolved not to be a pain in the ass like his old landlord. Sitting down, he examined the windows that had popped up in order of appearance. Skill created. As a result of repeated specific actions, the skill Lesser Chakra Control has been created. Lesser Chakra Control Passive LV1, 00.00 EXP. Chakra Control allows the user to control their chakra. Although some jutsu can be used with barely any chakra control, most average jutsu and other chakra tricks will require at least this level of skill. Allows the use of D-rank jutsu and chakra techniques. Gains express from chakra control exercises. Reduces the cost of jutsu by 1%. Increases chakra point regeneration by 1%. Finally, Naruto yelled in delight. Do you wish to apply unused chakra control exercise express from tree climbing exercise to lesser chakra control? YN. Duh. Naruto snorted as he hit the Y button. Calculating. Done. Lesser chakra control has risen to LV3. Naruto mentally calculated that his tree climbing exercise skill was level 10. Shouldn't that yield a higher level up? Shrugging, he moved on to the next notice. Skill created. As a result of a specific action, the skill Chakra Nagashi no Jutsu has been created. Chakra Nagashi no Jutsu active level 1, 00.00 EXP. The Chakra Flow Jutsu is the ability to coat a weapon with chakra and bestowing some sort of special effect to it via the elemental affinity that the chakra possesses. Physical contact is with the target weapon is required in order to use this jutsu. Wind chakra can turn any blade into a lethally sharp weapon. Earth chakra increases the density and hardness of the weapon. Fire chakra surrounds the weapon in a burning aura, incinerating all it touches. Lightning chakra acts similarly to wind chakra, with the added effect of numbness, although both effects are due to causing intense vibrations in the weapon. Water chakra extends the length of the weapon and adds a cutting effect only slightly inferior to wind chakra. In addition, neutral chakra merely forms a protective cover over the weapon, reducing any harm to the weapon. Hand signs. None. Wielder chakra types usable. Wind, earth, neutral. Futon chakra. Nagashi. Usable on edged weapons only. Creates a blade over the weapon that adds a +20 increase to slashing and piercing damage. Grants +10 durability for duration of activation. Costs 25 CP per minute to use. Doden chakra Nagashi. Usable on any weapon. Grants an increase of +20 to the weapon's bludgeoning and piercing damage. Piercing damage only added if an edged weapon. Increases the weapon's durability by +15. Grants +20 def to the weapon. Costs 28 CP per minute to use. Neutral chakra Nagashi. Usable on any weapon. Grants an increase of +10 to the weapon's bludgeoning, slashing and piercing damage, applied depending on the weapon. Grants +5 def to the weapon. Costs 30 CP per minute to use. Naruto had to raise his eyebrows at that. The differences between the various CP costs of the 3 chakra Nagashi were fairly obvious. He had the greatest affinity for wind chakra, so the cost was the least, with earth chakra second because he had worked hard at it. Neutral chakra couldn't be worked on, so it had what he assumed was the basic cost. Still, the effects of all 3 were useful. He would have to think about something to use for the Doden chakra Nagashi. A collapsible baton made of chakra metal, maybe. Shaking his head, he looked at the other windows. Quest alert. A man's home is his castle. Sarutobi Asuma, the son of your surrogate grandfather, and former member of the 12 Guardian Shinobi, is going to rent an apartment from you in the Amekage apartment building. Prepare the room, get the water and power on and sign all the necessary documents before he arrives in 3 days. Quest reward. Plus 1000 XP, plus 2000 Ryo, Sarutobi Asuma as a tenant, random futon ninjutsu scroll. Quest failure, Sarutobi Asuma as a tenant. Accept. YN. Hitting the Y button, Naruto cataloged everything that had to be done and in what order. Most of the preliminary stuff had already been filed by his Gigi, so all he had to do was inform the water and power companies that he would be ramping up the consumption of their respective resource. Making 2 shadow clones, he sent one to each company before he made another couple to go over the Asuma's chosen apartment with a fine-tooth comb and make repairs as and when required. Settling down again, he realized that Sakura was going to be over soon for her taijutsu practice. This was the Pinkett girl's least favorite thing to do, but she did keep her word, so she came nevertheless. One thing that had changed was that Sakura's tutoring sessions had ceased adding anything to his interwis except at very long intervals. Checking the mission in the quest log, he discovered that it had updated itself, saying that he now required 15 tutoring sessions with Sakura in order to get +1 wis and +1 int, although the amount needed to improve his relationship had decreased from 5 sessions to 3. Naruto guessed that the amount that his int and wis had risen by had prompted whatever being that governed his gamer ability to balance it out. The higher your stats are, the harder it is to improve them. Sakura, on the other hand, was finding it hard going with regard to her training. She was getting training from the academy, training from Naruto and training from her father. She was very much exhausted. He had been sneaking looks at her stats and she had only gained a single point in STR and STA in the last month and a few days, which was slightly worrying for his growing a cherry blossom quest. When Sakura arrived, he asked her exactly what exercises she did other than sparring. Calisthenics. Sakura replied, you know, sit-ups, push-ups, star jumps, that sort of thing. You should try jogging. Naruto suggested, shinobi do a lot of that, so it would be useful to get into the swing of things. His pink-haired training partner sighed at that, but was unable to refute it. Over the next couple of hours, Naruto helped Sakura alter the Hokage style she had been taught so it suited her body. Stances and kata had to be changed and then Sakura had to experiment with the various punches, kick, blocks and the like so she could use them effectively. After all of that, she would spar with Naruto, who didn't pull any punches in regards to his speed. He was way faster than Ino was, if not quite as acrobatic, so if Sakura got used to his level of speed, she'd be able to deal with Ino more easily. Or so he hoped anyway. Damn, Sakura said mildly as she got up again after being knocked back onto her butt again, I'm not getting any better at this. Considering you've only been at this for just over a month, you're doing very well. Naruto assured her, why haven't you ever won any spars if you're this good at taijutsu? Sakura asked with a frown. Because almost every single time, I've been up against Sasuke. Naruto replied, he's a tem, but he is very good at hand-to-hand combat. Just about the only thing he's better at is ninjutsu. How can you tell? Sakura asked in confusion. See how he wears his clan symbol on his back. Naruto asked, according to Iruka-sensei, only adult Uchiha are allowed to wear their clan symbol on their back like that, meaning they have to be able to use Kaden, Gokaku no Jutsu, Fire Style, Grand Fireball Jutsu. Sasuke-kun can use AC rank Elemental Jutsu. The Pinkett yelped in shock. From what I can remember, he started wearing it just before the Uchiha massacre. Naruto continued, so that means he's been able to use it for 6 years or thereabouts. He used it at 6. Sakura gawked. He has talent. Shame Itachi screwed his head up. Naruto said with a shrug. That's a bit cold, Naruto. Sakura said with a frown, he had his entire clan massacred by his own brother. Anyone would be screwed in the head after that. I know. Naruto sighed. He really didn't want to talk about the tem. It's just, other people have had difficult lives as well, you know. And they haven't cut themselves off from all human contact. Sakura nodded slowly. I get your meaning, but cut him a little slack, okay? Because it's you asking, I'll try. Naruto sighed. Now, have you thought about your genin outfit? Not really. Sakura replied, isn't what I have good enough. For D ranks, yeah. Naruto said, but for C ranks, where you'll be facing enemy combatants, albeit just bandits. Not so much. No armor, no weapons other than kunai and shuriken, yeah, let's just say not good and leave it like that. Sakura winced. I'll talk to my dad about it. Cool. Oh, I have to give you something. Naruto said, wait here. He trotted out and up to his apartment so he could access his inventory and pull out the chakra strength enhancement scroll he'd gotten from that spar with Sasuke before heading back. He'd tried to learn it before, but it required average chakra control level 20, so he was out of luck. Sakura though, here you go, he said as he entered the dojo, a reward for your hard work. This is a jutsu scroll. Sakura asked as she gingerly accepted it. Yup, for Ninpo, Chakra Kyoto Kyoka no Jutsu, Ninja Art, Chakra Strength Enhancement Jutsu. Naruto replied, my chakra control's too shaky to use it, but you. I think it'll work out. Sakura was speed reading the scroll. This is what incredible. She exclaimed, where'd you get it from? I found it, in a training field I'm working at. Naruto replied, mixing truth and lies, it's been abandoned for a while and Hokage Jiji told me anything I found that didn't have someone's name burned or signed onto it was mine to keep. Wow, well, thank you, Naruto. Sakura said, still reading the scroll avidly, this is, wow. It isn't Tsunade of the Sanin's chakra enhanced strength, but it is a step up from regular muscle power, that's for sure. Naruto nodded. The Chakra Kyoto Kyoka no Jutsu was a heavily watered down version of the Shidaime Hokage's Kongoriki no Jutsu adamantine power jutsu, one that every shinobi with sufficient chakra control could learn, unlike the parent jutsu. When he discovered that he couldn't learn the jutsu, he had read it physically. Don't use it instead of your muscles in training, he cautioned her. Hi, Sakura said wearily, putting the scroll into her pouch, are we done for today, Naruto? I'm still tired from earlier. Sure thing, Sakura-chan. Naruto nodded, see you tomorrow. The pinkett bade him farewell and headed for home. Naruto looked at the scroll over by the remains of the dummy and grinned. Tomorrow, after the academy, he would go and kick ass in sub-area 3 of training ground 13 and break in his new weapons. He couldn't wait. Elsewhere, in a room barely lit by stuttering candlelight, a masked individual, clothed so that their gender was undeterminable, knelt before a desk covered in papers. Behind that desk sat a man clad in a black and white kimono, with one arm and one eye bound in bandages. Report, Agent number 35. The bandaged man ordered, his voice inflectionless. The Jinchuriki has been progressing well, the kneeling man replied tonelessly. Each time he faces Uchiha Sasuke, he draws closer to achieving victory over him. He trains with Haruno Sakura 3 times a week and is otherwise spotted heading towards training area 13. The bandaged man gave no indication that he was either pleased or displeased by this information. I see. Have we acquired any leverage on the Anbu who guard the former HQ entrance? Negative. Agent 35 replied, they are part of the current Hokage guard section of the Anbu and their identities are classified beyond the ability of any of our agents to acquire. This time a distinct look of displeasure flashed across the bandaged man's face. Anything else to report? Sarutobi Asuma has returned from his tour of duty with the 12 Guardian Ninja. The kneeling agent stated, he is currently residing in the Sarutobi compound, but plans to move into the Amekage apartments within the next 3 days. A scowl crossed the bandaged man's face. Curse that old monkey. He hissed, arrange for an accident to occur to Sarutobi Asuma tomorrow. Nothing fatal, but it has to put him out of commission for at least a week. Prep Squad 1 for an abduction mission in training ground 13 in 2 days' time. Hi, Danzo-sama, the agent said before fading out into the encroaching darkness. Shimura Danzo, the Yami no shinobi, allowed himself a small grin before turning his attention back to his paperwork. The weapon was as good as his.
That's all for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the story. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.